The melody was written after the Malamakoni of Victoria.
I do want to welcome you here to Helumua, to Royal Hawaiian Center, as we're celebrating the 78th Aloha Festivals here. It started at the Helumua Gardens at the hotel with the investiture of the with the Royal Court. And the Royal Court will be processing here in just a few minutes. Here at Royal Hawaiian Center, we have the honor of hosting the opening ceremony. This year, we have Halau Hula Omaiki coming to present some of their hula traditions. They are doing for us a tableau, a pageant show, if you will, from 1962, I believe, entitled La'amai Kahiki. In a moment, I'll make the introduction and we'll learn a little bit more about that. But what's important for us to say here, though, is when Royal Hawaiian Center opened in 1980, Richard Lyman, who was then the chairman of the board, contacted his cousin, and that cousin was Maiki Ayu. And he sent for his cousin, he asked her if she would come here and oversee the cultural life of the center. So Auntie Maiki was our very first cultural director, and she served in that position from 1980 until 1984. From 1984 until today, one of her students, some of you might know her as Miss Lee, some of you might know her as Puake Alaman, but she has been following in her kumu's footsteps from 1984 until this year. So this year makes 40 years for her, and we'll applaud for her a little bit later at the end. I don't know if you can hear, but we can hear the sound of the pukani. And so the Royal Court is coming. They are going to take seat in this area here, and then we are going to begin. So if you look to your right, my left, you'll see the court processing. You'll see the konohiki in red leading the procession. Behind him is the pukani. And then behind that is the chanter or the meaoli in white. And behind the meaoli is a person carrying what is called a pulu'ulu'u, a symbol of royalty and nobility. And then the feathered standards that you see are known as kahili. As they come, if you're seated, let's please stand. We'd like to invite our guests to Noho'ilalo. I know that we have some board members from Aloha Festival, so hey mai board members. E ho'o makakako ai ho'o maluno. O ia kanani hea te hea kona te iwa te o motula e ho. Ole e maori wale huna kona o hei ai. Ule o ka ua hau e le ati aka mau ka au au le. E ko o ira le o te au kalani au au e te kore ka kōko nā te o ye. E iu ka kani ki wai hai. Ka ori a tia tua iau. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the kumuhula of Halau Hula o Maiki, Miss Colleen. E ho mai ka pa'ipa'i lima.
Aloha. Aloha to our royal court. Mahalo nui for coming and to be a part of this presentation. Mahalo. I'd like to thank all of you for being here because this part of the tableau pageant that we will be presenting was done 62 years ago. And today I would like to thank many people, especially for our Halau family who has come here, especially Auntie Mapuana from Kauai, who is closely associated with my mother. And every time I see her, it makes me feel that Auntie Maiki is right here. I'd like to acknowledge Okinawa Ma for the many beautiful pura that they have gifted to our school. And I would especially like to thank Sarah Malina from the island of Kauai. She and her husband, Uncle Melvin, began Aloha Week in 1946. And upon her passing, my grandaunt gifted to me the many royal regalia that was in her possession. Tonight, we are most pleased and honored to present the legend of La'amai Kahiki. Our history was preserved in the songs and narratives recited in the formal setting of the High Chief's court. The chronology or order depended on the genealogy of the High Chief, which reached back to a time when gods walked upon the earth. The highest chief, the Pua'alii, were living gods on earth, and their lives then and now were held up as models of true behavior and action. The many genealogies recited and memorized, especially recited on significant occasions like today, was the Kumu Honua for the Kauai Pua'alii. 36 generations after Kumu Honua and his wife Lalo Honua, Papa Hanau Moku and her husband Wakea. With Wakea and Papa, the history of Polynesia and Kauai begins. Their son, Kamawailualani, and his wife, Kahiki Laulani, because of good deeds, numerous descendants, and especially peace and prosperity during their reign. The island was called Kauai, a place of great abundance. The youngest son of the ancient voyager of Ailoa and his wife Wai'ale'ale, his name was Kauai. Kauai, to be placed around the neck, refers to the fact that only the most beloved children were seated and carried upon the shoulders of their parents. The word Kauai is so old that it has lost its meaning. 13 generations or 300 years later, from Nanaulu, Ki'i, a chief of Tahiti, asked his sons, Nanaulu and Ulu, canoe Manonui and found the Hawaiian Islands. 15 generations later, Maweke and Paumakua settled on Oahu. At the same time, Punanui Ia'akea arrived on Kauai. His genealogy has not survived, but he is an important character in this story. Punanui Ia'akea. Now there were 2 generations on Kauai. The voyaging chief, Moikeha, who had gone to Mo'ulanui Akea, returned to the island of Kauai. On his canoe, he carried 40 passengers. The hulls of the canoe were 100 feet long. Among those on his canoe were his cousins, Kumukahi and Ha'eha'i. His other relatives, Makapu'u and Maka'oea, Honua'ula, Ma'o, the one of the calabash story. The journey was very long. And when they approached Hawaii, Kamahualele began to chant, "Here is Hawaii, a man, a land. It is our home." Had traveled to the south after a devastating tidal wave in Waipio Valley. They left their sister, Ha'inakolo, to remain with her children. And because of a misunderstanding, Moikeha decided to return back to Hawaii from Mo'ulanui Akea. This particular hula was choreographed with the kilu in 1971 by our founder and teacher.
kanaka wai, he tamana te hiki, he puali mai ka pau, mai moa ulanu ia ke a kanalo. He mo kunana ka iko, lau au ka pulana ke hau, ka papai hana, ka te tamawahina, ka lani e, lau me ka kua kōkō. Nā pula aina I kai kahi, ino noho nike I kahi kina kumaha. Pai nike ka moku I lana ni, I hui aku ui mai. I ka moku o kai ale ki kiro, na hānu ima, nere kona tongi, kai uki. Nani maa ele maa mai na moku. Moku ke aho na vai a kai, I hokia e ku kanaloa. Hau kuna aina na moku, moku I ka ohe ka pua kanaloa. O hau mea, o manu kai I kele, o mo I kia kalani nā kai ko. Noho kutani a hawaia. Ola, ola, ola kalana ona. Ola kia li ke kauna. Ola ke kilo ke kaua. Noho ia Hawaii a lulana. A kani mo puna I Hawaii. O kawa I ka moku. A o mo I keha ke aski. A o mo I keha ke aski.
This was the newcomer that the daughter of the Puna chief, Hina A'ulu'a, welcomed on the shores of Wailua. This was the chief who was accompanied by his kahuna, La'oma'oma'o, the keeper of the winds. And so the genealogy of Ki'i was recited. It was Moikeha who let the Puna chief know of his genealogy. From Ki'i and his wife, Hina Ko'ula, Nanaulu and his wife, Nanamea and his wife, Ku'ia, Teheke'ula and his wife, Uluae, Tehekemana and his wife, Nanahapa, Nanamua and Nanamope, Nanaikahaku and his wife, Elegu, Kekumu and Kumukoa, Uma and Umale, Umanana, Kala'i and Kala'ikapa, Malelewa'a and his wife, Hiliohia, Kapu'u and Nana, Kehuia, O'oi Kila. Indeed, this is Kila. I am Kila from the upland and Kila from below the sea. I am the child of Hina. And I am the child of Moikeha. Papaleana, what's Moikeha doing on Kauai? He's on Kauai where the sun rises high, and he's on Kauai where you can surf at Makaiva. He's at Kauai where the flowers bloom and change colors. He's going to live there and he is going to die there. A'oia, o'oi Kila. And so Kila continued to travel to the south, stopping to see his aunts at Makapu'u and Maka'aoa. Traveling further, always letting people know that he was indeed the son of the beautiful Hinaulua and Moikeha. Kila reached Raiet brother Laka immediately prepared to accompany Kila back to Kauai as Moikeha wished. It was a long journey, but Kila was in charge of Moikeha's canoe, the Kaula. Moikeha announced his arrival with the beating of an unusual drum. It was made out of a hollowed out coconut, and the open end was covered with shark skin. The drum had a deep voice, and from that time on, it was used to announce the birth of the chiefs. The birthing stones of Holoholukuheao, where the Pahu Ali'i, the temple drum, remained. The Pahu Ali'i Havea remained there until the ancient religion was destroyed. Ma'a also carried and developed a smaller drum. With this, he began the Pahu Hula tradition, identified with the island of Kauai. And this day, in a line of Po'e Hula, or people of the hula, Keahi Nuahine, Kavena Pukui, Lokalia, Makale, Ka'imoi Ipo, Ka'ualoku o Maiti, and Huakeala. This is the tradition of the hula pahu and the drum brought by La'a Waikikiki. The smaller drum was used in the pahu hula, and the hula pahu, the dances accompanied by the drum. Existing legends tell very little about La'amaikahiki and his stay on Kauai Island. Honolulu, the oldest hula pahu that has been handed down through the line of Moikeha and the Po'e Hula of Kauai. our most precious treasures of the Hawaiian people. Lauli Ala'a, 3 sons born on the same day, called the triple canoe of La'a, the sacred one. He left these children and his wife at Kualoa and returned to Raiatea. Before La'a left, he promised Moikeha that he would return to carry his bones back to Mo'olunuiakea and to their home, Lanikeha. He promised that he would bury them at the foot of Kapa'ahu, the sacred mountain. For us, the Hawaiian people, it is so important that we tend to our iwi because they are truly living connections to our ancestors. This is La'a. After La'a left and remained in Raiatea only to return to collect the bones of Moikeha, he had fulfilled his promise. But when La'a left, that was among the last voyage to the south, and all memory of the navigational movements back to the original homeland were lost. Lost until a Micronesian master sailor, Papa Mau, came to these Hawaiian islands and taught us, the Hawaiian people, how to go home. Many people forget, yes, the Polynesian Voyaging Society is remarkable and has done tremendous work. But had it not been for that Micronesian master who had the ancestral memory to take Hokulea back to Tahiti, the voyaging trips would have truly stopped. Hokulea, yes, is the voyaging canoe, the first voyaging canoe. Hokulea means star of gladness. It is the name of that canoe. The mele was written after the Malamapolu of Oya. There are many canoes now. Hokulea, Hikianalia, Makali'i, Oiloa. There are many canoes. Josefa from Laia. All thanks to the Micronesian Papa Mau. On memories return, the chapter began, as I remember us traveling across the great seas around the world. Hokulea is celebrated, not once, but twice, as a star of gladness high in the sky and a great voyaging canoe. Where would we be without the instruction of our kupuna, who remind us to be united in thought and heart? The Hokulea did travel around the world, but returned Hai'ipalu, the 8 seas of our island. So, the traveling has continued back and forth from north and south. And just recently, at the great festival we had here in Hawaii, the Tahitian canoe came, Malumaluatua. How can we not celebrate us all being one family? All being one family. The great voyagers, you will remember them. Papailoa. And you will also remember Kaha'i as a great voyager. You will remember Lo'ikeha and his son Kila. You will remember the story of the drum, WAIKIKI. And most importantly, you will remember that we as Hawaiians honor Ya'onalani Kamakua Mauloa, the great God above. We are not uncertain that a God exists. We are certain. We are certain that there is a great creator who appears in the rainbow day after day here in our beautiful Hawaii. We are certain that he has left us not only a beautiful land, but he has left us aloha, aho nui, lokahi, ha'aha'a, olu olu, akahai, perseverance. That is what the great Ya'onalani Kamakua has left us. From the voyaging chiefs to the ho'opa'a and the dancers who brought you this legend, to the genealogies what we Hawaiians must remember, and most important, to the word aloha, that it always pai and lift us up, not only as Hawaiians, but as people in this beautiful world. Our teacher was great in that she loved Eapua Manaloa. And Papa Mau also said, I don't fear the sea as great as it is, because in my father's canoe, I was taught to have faith and love. There must always be faith, hope, but most importantly, love. So from all of us at Halauko Maiki, in presenting this legend of La'amaiki, we share with you the love of our teacher and the love of Keapua Manaloa. Aloha.
One more time, folks, please. Hey, hold my please put your hands together for Honolulu Almighty. Again, reaching into the vault, into the archives, and bringing out Waikikiki, a tableau from 1962. And a reminder that Auntie Mikey was our first photo director here at Royal Hawaiian Center from 1980. From 1984 until today, her student, Puaki Alaman, some of you may know her as Miss Lee, has been our second cultural director and also teaching hula. She's getting dressed, but nevertheless, please help me thank her for 40 years of sharing hula traditions of Auntie Mikey here. This one is for Puaki Alaman. We'd like to thank you for joining us here at the RoyalGrove of Royal Hawaiian Center for the opening ceremony of Aloha Festivals. If you are new to our island, we encourage you to visit alohafestivals.com. We are a month-long celebration celebrating the Aloha spirit and celebrating the many cultures that enrich Hawaii. And so we thank all of you for joining us today, and this concludes our time together. But as our tradition is, we will kukako inuna, please stand as the Royal Court will recess from these grounds. Again, their presence heralds another year of the Aloha Festivals. Mahalo. Mahalo folks for coming. Thank you for joining us. Please watch your way as you exit. We're going to keep this area clear until we break down the drums. But thank you for coming. So we invite our audience to have a nice evening. Thank you for joining us. Aloha.